Wow. Nick, wow.
That was incredible.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite songs by you, Nick.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, and Nick is actually in the room just adjacent to us. Our production studio.
In another one of our studios here in the office.
Soundproof studio.
A separate studio.
Enough, yeah. So yeah, thanks so much
Nick.
for joining the show, and that was awesome.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Nick, what are you working on now? Aaron was telling me that you were actually nominated for some composition awards for some indie music festivals.
Yeah, so I was nominated for Best Original Score for a movie called Dead End Drive for their short, and then a movie called Dark Hearts for their featurette in the Idlewild Film Festival in California. And it's called the Roger Taylor Award because Roger Taylor is the drummer for Queen, and he actually listens to all the nominations and then he decides who it was. So that was a really cool honor to have Roger Taylor listen to my music.
Wow.
It was a dream come true.
Wow.
That's awesome. So, are you kind of wrapped up with some of like those projects right now, or do you have some more going on? What's the future look like?
So I have 2 movies that I am signed on to do, and both of them just got done filming, so they're going to be editing, and luckily they're going to end up editing like 2 months apart, so I'll be able to work on one and then work on the next one. But I have 2 movies that I've already finished that no one has seen, that are being in the works and have been, tossed around to production agents all across, and they're going to be on Amazon Prime and hopefully Netflix. So yeah,
nice.
I'm working on.
Hey, when those release, you should send us the links, and we can go ahead and drop them.
We could have a watch party.
Let's do
Anytime
it.
watch
Let's have a
party.
watch party. That sounds great. Yeah. Man, that's so awesome, Nick. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for sharing your music with us and all the cool stuff that you're doing. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep. And now, everyone, we are going to introduce you to our main interviewee and guest today, Soon Hee Newbold. Okay, so let me go through this. Soon Hee is amazing. She's done it all. She is a well-known violinist, performing at venues such as Carnegie Hall, the Kennedy Center, and Tanglewood. She is also a well-known composer with over 60 pieces for orchestra, many of which are J.W. Pepper Editor's Choice and Basic Library selections. Soon Hee has also been a music editor, a longtime composer for FJH Music Company, an actress, and a movie producer, and she is also a police officer, of all things. Please help me in welcoming our amazing guest today, Soon Hee Newbold. Hi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. Thank you
thanks for joining us. Yeah.
So for everyone out there, people have been asking me how actually we got you on the show, because a lot of people know who you are. And I've been like, it was actually a cold Facebook message. So thank you so much for replying to that. We are very appreciative that you've agreed to be on our show. And then also that you suggested ceremonial grade matcha tea, which we are... So everyone, today's production, in case you don't know, has been very interesting for a lot of reasons. We have this tea that we've never done anything with before. It's actually a process. We have Nick in the next room who's saying we have multiple cameras and a huge setup today. And before I forget, today, so Josh, big news, Soon Hee, you're going to be part of this with us. Josh actually is done with his cancer treatments. He has been fighting cancer for about 1.5 or 2 years now.
Yeah.
And he was just cleared after having Hodgkin's lymphoma and a stem cell transplant in Houston, Texas. Here we go, Josh. Congratulations.
Wow.
Balloons.
Feels great.
So
Feels great to be done.
yes, thank you everyone who's been supporting us. It was quite a wild ride, and I'm really glad that now we get to celebrate and we get to have somebody like Soon Hee on our show and have this matcha tea, which actually it says, as we read the giant pamphlet that came with it, is supposed to be good for anti-inflammation, and then also supposed to be good for like meditation, and supposed to help with like cancer and things like that. So
Yeah, it's supposed to fight off free radicals, yeah.
we're going to try this just real quick.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
Let's did you already pour yours?
I did.
That might be too much. Fantastic. We kind of like the show where, I like almost make my computer explode because of the hot water.
It's a good thing we have an insurance plan on it.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Well, I recently just got into matcha as well.
Okay.
oh, just recently, okay. I was going to ask,
How I suggested
what about
it?
this is your, what makes it your top suggestion?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm so honored to be here, and congratulations. That's some of the best news that anyone could ever hear. So I'm really happy to be here and share in that moment.
Thank you.
For matcha, I am not a coffee or really a tea drinker, and I read a lot of the properties and healing and the benefits of it, and I thought, well, yeah, why don't I give it a try? And I remember attending a tea ceremony many years ago in Japan, and just the whole process and all the steps that they took to do it. It's almost kind of a sacred thing. And I just thought, well, let me give it a go, and did a bunch of research, and I guess there's some tricks to preparing it so it doesn't clump and all that kind of stuff, and that's why we have to vigorously whisk. So I tried it, and it's supposed to have the caffeine is supposed to last longer. You're not supposed to get that crash that coffee does. So, and it has all this other stuff, like they say, antioxidants and things. But so that's why I am giving it a try, and I'm really liking it.
That's awesome.
They say
Thank you to
all matcha
Sierra.
is not created equal, so that's can depend on what you get. Especially they say ceremonial grade if you're going to drink it every day, because there's some that can have a bunch of lead in it, I guess, because it's basically grinding the green tea leaf.
Oh.
So you're drinking the tea leaf itself. That's why it has all those properties. And
Okay.
so you just have to be careful where it comes from.
Okay,
And then
that
of
makes
course
sense.
I got this little handy. It's like a semi-auto whisk that
Oh, I see
kinda
it.
saves your
Oh,
wrists.
yes. Yeah, that was
So this
some vigorous whisking, for sure.
Yes.
That is cool. We're
So if you're in a hurry,
Are
or
you
something,
ready?
you're doing it every day. That's what I use. And I guess if you're getting into it, they say
Oh.
don't put as much in, and you can put in a sweetener or a splash of milk or almond milk or something like that to make it a latte.
actually, I really like this.
It's pretty tasty.
I really like this a lot.
I really do like this. Yeah.
It reminds me of some of the other Japanese like foods that I've had that have to do with algae and seaweed and like really intense green tea. This kind of has a similar taste to me. Yeah, it's really good. Did you like what we sent you?
I did, yeah. I liked it a lot. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, well now that everybody's watched us drink tea for 30 minutes, we will dive into these questions. Everyone, Soon Hee is legit. She's like the real deal. So if you're out there and a musician who wants to tune into at least one of our shows, this is the one you should be at. Please, everyone, if you have questions, we will try and sneak them in if there's time. But we've taken a lot of time already, so I'll dive right on in. You are known for your amazing orchestral compositions. So how does one end up breaking into that kind of a market and having the reach and the influence that you do?
It's very, it's a question I think a lot of people ask, and I actually give sessions on publishing and how to break in. I was lucky because a friend of mine who's a very prolific composer, very well known, Brian Balmages, I went to school with him and we were very good friends. He worked for FJH Publishing and said that they were starting a string orchestra catalog. Why didn't I write a couple pieces and submit them and see what happens? So I did. I wrote a couple pieces. They took them, and they did pretty well. So then they just wanted more pieces after that. It was an opportunity that I couldn't really pass up. It wasn't really on my path of goals or an objective to be a composer, but it happened, and I'm really glad I did it because it gave me great opportunities and some life experiences that I never would have thought of otherwise.
Wow. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So kind of a little bit by accident, in a sense.
It's all about who you know, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
So when you're marketing, auditioning, pitching yourself for projects, what are some of the main talking points that you pivot to?
For me, it depends on what I'm pitching myself for or what project I'm auditioning or interviewing for. I had a really good professor in college. I was a music industry major, music business type. So a lot of the business that came into it was tailoring what you're doing for the person that you are reaching out to. So if it's a film project, I'm obviously highlighting on my resume my film experience and, the qualifications or whatever they're looking for. I'm giving that experience first. I may not talk about all the other things that I do, so it's just not extra noise. If I'm auditioning for something, like an orchestra, obviously I'm practicing a ton and learning the excerpts and making sure that I'm just up to speed on everything that they're looking for there. A lot of research can go into some of that, just knowing what they're looking for, knowing what it takes to get there, and just tailoring it for whatever the client or whatever the production or whatever the orchestra or ensemble is looking for. So for me, it varies depending on the group.
That's fantastic advice. And kind of in that same realm of pitching yourself, a lot of people have difficulty pricing themselves, especially compositions, through the research that we have figured out. When releasing sheet music with a publisher like FJH, what's the process that goes into pricing? Now, I know you had said previously that it's kind of on the publisher, but what does that process look like?
I think it's a really good question. I think it applies to everything in business. How much is something worth? And coming up with that is kind of a subjective thing. They say you're only worth as much as someone is willing to pay for you. So a lot of that is trial and error, I think. A lot of that can be some psychology that goes into it, some marketing. It's supply and demand. As far as commissions go, a lot of times people will ask, what's the process for commissions? How do you price a commission even? And it's really how much are people willing to pay and how much do you want to do it for? So it's kind of what is worth your time and then how much are people willing to pay? So how much do you want it? How much does your client want it? And then you can kind of find that balance. So it is kind of a trial and error type thing, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right.
That
takes some experience to get that dialed in.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. And with as many compositions as you've had, you've probably kind of started to dial that in quite a bit.
Yeah, for me, it has to do with schedule. I think for me, so if someone wants it bad enough, they'll be able to come through.
That's awesome. Cool.
I see. So you've done many projects with school orchestras. How important is music education in public schools to you, and does the buzz around your appearances help score sales?
Well, I think music education is super important. I can't stress how important I think it is. I think it's one of those core subjects, and I know that that the U.S. now considers it a core subject, so that's really helpful. But if you look throughout history on all the great minds and all of the really influential people, they were all musicians. They're still learning a lot and doing a lot of research on the benefits of the brain and learning music. They're even saying that musicians are able to handle stress better because you're multitasking and you're not going to have that flight or freeze type thing when an emergency happens. So there's so much that I think people don't realize you're benefiting from. Plus, it's just a part of us. We've had it since the beginning of time. It's something that we connect with emotionally. It's something that's healing. It's something that's inspiring. And, when's the last time you went to a restaurant and didn't hear music in the background? It's how many times are you listening to music when you're feeling down or when you want to feel happy? So it's something that I think is important to our existence even. So in that respect, I think music is very important. And if we don't have it in schools, where else are we going to be able to continue that or learn? And as far as sales, yes, I think it's kind of the chicken or the egg type thing. Mine kind of came afterwards. So I started getting invited more as a guest conductor, guest composer, that kind of thing, after my pieces started really selling and people knew who I was. So it was more the other way around. They got buzz around my music, and then I started coming in more for appearances and things like that. But yes, definitely when I go in and do a session or a clinic at the certain festivals, and we go through some of my music, it definitely, I'm sure, boosts sales and things like that in that respect.
Nice. We actually have a quick note from Jenny Peters. She says she loves hearing from you, and her students love your music at school. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, so I'm going to throw in a quick question about the... So I was going through your Twitter a little bit, and I noticed this meme about the demi-semi, hemi-demi, semi-quaver. Have you ever actually used that in
Like
any
the
piece?
56th note?
Yes.
No, not in print. No, I have not. It's 6 bars. No, I think the closest thing I've come to maybe are some grace notes that might fall into that a little bit, but no, I haven't purposely used that one. I think it's just a fun term for
Okay.
people to say.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. When I was going through, I went, wow. Yes. And then, you've pumped out a lot of works. I mean, and not just music, but in all of the projects that you've done, that includes directing and producing, writing. What does your creative process look like? How do you overcome creative block? Dive into that a little bit with us.
For me, yes, I do deal with writer's block all the time. I think for me, the longer you're in it, sometimes you're really trying to find more innovative and new ideas so you don't get stale. So I try to get my inspiration from everything. I get it from pictures and nature, from other music, other cultures. I like to research stories, myths, historical events are a huge inspiration for me. And just go out and live life as much as I can. I try to experience as many different things or unique things as I can get my hands on. I like to travel a lot. So just experiencing life, I think, is my biggest inspiration.
Wow, that is some great advice. I love that advice. I'm gonna start doing that more, Josh. Experiencing life. I'm gonna throw out just a few last questions. I think. Is it true that you were a cheerleader in The Water Boy? Is that?
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I was when I was in Florida. I lived in Florida for 4 years. That's when I started getting into acting. I had a passion for drama and just loved the filmmaking process and just really wanted to get into that. So I auditioned and got a part, and we did have this whole storyline. I think the original role was ugly cheerleader. So yeah, I was cast as an ugly cheerleader. It's because we were a misfit, group of people. The football team was terrible. That's why
Right.
Adam Sandler comes and kind of saves the day. And then later, I think the role was changed to drunk cheerleader. So yeah, it's a role that I was really proud to tell my grandparents about. But and most of our scenes were cut. But yes, I got to spend almost 2 months on a football field with Adam Sandler, which was pretty fun.
That does sound fun.
Wow.
I want to go spend a few months on a football field with Adam Sandler.
Right?
Right. Yes. And then, what kind of projects are you working on now? And kind of a follow up to that, you recently became a police officer for Burbank, correct?
I did, yeah, about a little over 3 years ago. I've
And
been a reserve
what-
police officer, so it means I don't do it full time. I kind of
Right.
pick and choose when I do it. So when I'm able to, I do go out on patrol, and I am a 911 dispatcher as well. So I'm in the communications center answering 911 calls or dispatching officers on calls. And yeah, I just it's not something that I really planned on doing. Never really occurred to me to go into that. But I started volunteering for the police department, doing some of their videos and PSAs and things like that. So got into it, really loved the process. Have always been a big supporter of our military and law enforcement, and just wanted to give back if I could. I had to go to a full academy, and it worked out schedule-wise. It's kind of amazing that it did, and yeah, got yelled at, and had to do a million push-ups and run a million miles, but made it through that, and then became a police officer. So I just I probably work a couple times a week, usually when I'm able to, and then if I'm traveling or I'm on a music project or a film project, then that's taking up obviously all of my time. But I try to get in there as much as I can.
And so what projects do you have going on now?
I have a couple of commissions that are due at the end of the year, and then I'm always, trying to develop or, get into some kind of film project. So that's always on the horizon. They're just very hard to get going, but when they do happen, then I just kind of have to drop everything and focus all my time on that. And then, of course, now that things are kind of lightening up as far as restrictions go and travel restrictions, I'm starting to travel again and being able to go in person to work with groups. So that's always really exciting.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We sure missed that.
We told you, everyone, Soon Hee is legit. She is doing so much. I don't know how you juggle all of that at once.
Yeah,
we can barely juggle what we're doing here. So, wow, that's quite impressive. I think that's all the time we have for today. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, I think we've
so.
Reached our time.
We call it spilling the secret sauce, and you gave us a lot of secret sauce for musicians and people out there in the industry trying to get into this. I think you gave a lot of really great information, so thank you. Thank you for the tea.
Yeah,
thank you for
tea, by the
being
way.
on the show. Thank you for taking my random cold Facebook message.
Well, thank you so much. This is such a great, what you guys are doing is so amazing, and I'm so proud and honored to be here. So thank you so much for the tea. I love it.
Well, thank you for the kind words too. We been working kind of hard on this on this tip tea time. So thank you again. We're really appreciative. Thank you everyone out there who's been supporting us, watching us. Even if you can't do it live, we know it's at 2:22 on a Friday, so most people are working at this time. Thank you to those who come and watch this later during the reruns. And we love our entire group of people who's supporting us, all of the people who we've had on the show, my parents, your parents, Sierra, Phil, everyone. Thank you so much. Again, congratulations to Josh. Cancer-free. Woo!
Thanks, man.
And thank you again for the tea recommendation, Soon Hee. This is absolutely amazing. I'm floored, actually. I thought I was not going to like this, but I do.
I thought so too. I was really surprised.
But
great
we do. So thank you.
Well,
thank you again for that. All right, and I guess until next Friday.
Thanks for joining us.
Nostravi.
Cheers.